Your tire razor sanding plate reciprocation machine will come packaged mostly disassembled with the base and a bag of parts. Once you lay out your parts, your complete kit will include the base, the partially assembled motor gantry with one spare rotating arm, 2 short ball hitches and 2 long ball hitches, 5 M3 by 10 millimeter socket head cap screws, for which you will need a 2.5 millimeter hex driver, 3 M3 by 6 millimeter socket head cap screws, also use the 2.5 millimeter hex driver, and an M1.6 by 6 millimeter socket head cap screw, for which you will need a 1.5 millimeter hex driver. The hex drivers are not included in the kit, so you'll need to source your own hex drivers. Also included is a long reciprocator arm and a short reciprocator arm, as well as 2 clamping plates, a long one and a short one. The first step of the assembly process is to determine which set of reciprocating arms and ball hitches you need to use. Some tire razors came with a full-length sanding plate, and some people also have a wheel buddy, which is also full length. A lot of tire razors came with a short length sanding plate, represented by this mock-up that I made. If you have a short length sanding plate and no other sanding plates, such as the wheel buddy, then ideally you should use the long reciprocating arm and short ball hitches. If you have the long plates, then you should use the short reciprocating arm and the short ball hitches. However, if you have a combination, such as a short plate and a wheel buddy, then you should use the short reciprocating arm and use long ball hitches on the short plates. This way you can simply swap the plates in and out without having to change the length of the reciprocating arm. So again, if you have short plates only, use the long arm and the short ball hitches. If you have long plates only, use the short arm and short ball hitches. And if you have a combination of plates, use the short arm and the appropriate ball hitch at the end of the plate. Short plates use the long ball hitch, long plates use the short ball hitch. Once you've determined which reciprocating arm to use, you'll use one of the M3 by 6 millimeter socket head cap screws through the opening in the reciprocating arm and into the other end of the rotating arm. The assembly should now look something like this, where the head of the cap screw is below the surface of the arm, and the thread of the cap screw is also below the surface of the rotating arm, because we don't want the screw to touch the bottom of the gantry, and we don't want the head of the screw to touch the top of the base plate. The rotating arm should move freely, should just flop around or fall with gravity. And when you're screwing that in with your 2.5 millimeter hex driver, only go finger tight. You're threading that M3 screw into plastic. So drive it in. There should be some resistance, but don't overdrive it or you'll strip the thread in the rotating arm, or you'll strip the plastic in the rotating arm, and the reciprocating arm might fall off at some point. There is one spare rotating arm, so if that breaks through wear and tear or through your assembly, you have a spare you can put on. In the event that the rotating arm breaks or wears out, simply back off that set screw and use your pliers to pull the rotating arm off, and then replace the rotating arm with the spare. Again, those screws are going into plastic, so only go finger tight. Do not overdrive it or you'll strip the plastic or split the print. If you use your spare and need replacements, just contact me and I'll be happy to mail you out some more. And of course, you'll move the arm to the new rotating arm. The next step is to secure the gantry to the base, and you'll use the other, or one of the other M3 by 6 millimeter socket head cap screws up through the bottom of the base and into the bottom of the gantry. Again, only go finger tight. That should look something like this, with the head of the screw below the surface of the bottom of the base plate. The final step before installing the machine on your tire raiser is to install the clamps. The long clamp goes on the front and the short clamp goes on the back. You'll be using 4 M3 by 10 millimeter socket head cap screws to secure these to the base. Again, you're threading the metal into plastic, so only go finger tight, otherwise you'll strip the plastic in the base, but finger tight is more than tight enough to hold the machine to the tire raiser. Note that the clamps have a step on one side and is flat on the other side with a texture. The step is what is pressing down against the tire raiser base plate, so the texture should be pointing up, and the step on the inside of the machine, like so. With the clamps installed, the machine should look something like this. Leave the clamps loose, because we're going to then put it over the edge of the tire raiser. To attach the reciprocator to your tire raiser, just put it over the edge, like so, and then tighten down the clamping screws, making sure to only go finger tight so that you don't strip out the plastic. The final step before attaching the power to your reciprocator is to install the ball hitches to your plate or plates. I used shoe glue for this, but you can also use double stick tape or some other compound. You want to try to get the hitch as centered on the end of the plate as possible, both horizontally and vertically. And the more accurate the better, but there should be enough leeway that perfection is not necessary. And make sure that whatever glue you use is fully cured before you use the machine, and whatever tape you use is nice and sturdy before you use the machine. And then you're ready to wire it up. Final step is to wire up the rotating reciprocator motor to your power source. In my case, I used a wire with a connector. Way too much wire, but it's what I had on hand. And then I wired that to the motor, and then my motor is powered by my power supply. So the same voltage goes to both motors. It works well, but if you want to use a separate power supply or add some kind of voltage adjustment so you can control the speed of the reciprocator separately from the speed of the truing machine, that's not a bad idea. Again, once your hitch is fully cured and glued or taped to your sanding plate, all you have to do is then snap the two together. And if you ever need to replace the hitch, or you get a new plate, or whatever the case may be, you can just easily pop the plate off of, it's hard to do with one hand. There we go. And if for some reason, you know, if the reciprocator ever breaks down, please contact me right away. But if for whatever reason you want to use the plate by itself, just snap it out of there, swing the arm out of the way, and then you can move the plate yourself however you need to. If you'd like to build your own machine rather than buy one from me, you can find the details in a link in the description below. And if you build your own, please post a make of that build on either Thingiverse or printables.com. And if you bought one from me, thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy it. And thanks for watching the video, and I hope everybody enjoys their tire raiser sanding plate reciprocation machine. Have a great day.